mental health warriors. You are listening to Crafting Mental Health podcast number 4. Hello, friends. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Crafting Mental Health. Today's topic is anxiety explained. But first things first, let me answer question 3, or the question from last episode. For all the new folks who's joining us, welcome. And just to explain quickly about the question, every week at the end of the episode, I ask a fun question sometimes, or a serious question, just to, hear each other's opinions and thoughts and, just get a conversation started, whether it be about mental health or just anything in general. Helping people connect with one another again. So episode 3 question was, if you could live in any time era, either in the future or in the past, which era would it be? So you guys had some really fun answers, and I appreciate those of you who joined in. And my answer to this question is I would love to live in the Victorian ages. I love the dresses that the women have worn. I love how people are being very polite and respectful to one another, and just helping each other, going out of their ways. Well, that's how I see those ages were. I'm sure I would probably be the woman who would get in trouble because I would always want to push the boundaries and, stand up for women's rights and all those things. But I think I would like to just maybe visit the Victorian ages just to see what it was like. All right. With that being said, let's jump into this week's topic, which is anxiety explained. As always, if you guys have any questions about any episode, you feel free to leave a comment on Spotify or join my Facebook group that I've started. It's called Crafting Mental Health Podcast. You can always email me as well at craftingmentalhealthpodcast@gmail.com. So I would love to hear from you guys. And just a disclaimer, anything that I'm sharing with you guys is purely out of my own research that I've done, my own experience, my own thoughts, my own opinions. And everybody is entitled to their own opinion. If you disagree with me, that is perfectly fine. Please let me know. Let's have that conversation. And I'm not a mental health professional. I am just me, and I've dealt with a lot of mental health problems in my life, and I just felt led by God that I needed to start sharing my story and start helping others understand one another and what each of us are going through in certain times of life. So with that said, anxiety, everybody throws that around saying, they have anxiety. And yes, anxiety is very common. And I think COVID has caused more of us to have anxiety than before. And so with today's topic of anxiety, I was going to answer the following question. Like, what is it? What does it look like and feel like? What causes it and what triggers are? And then just kind of what kind of treatment plans are there for people who live with anxiety? It is normal for people to experience anxiety on an everyday basis. That's a normal part of life. Like when you have at school, you have to give a speech in front of the class and you're anxious and nervous about that. That's a normal anxiety. But when these feelings and that you experience with anxiety becomes so intense that it interferes with your life and it's for weeks and months on end, that is when anxiety becomes something that you want to take care of and something that you want to look into and start dealing with. And then so your common signs and symptoms of anxiety is feeling nervous, restless, or tense, like you would feel before you have to do a speech or have a difficult conversation with someone. And then there's another symptom is like impending sense of danger or panic. You have an increased heart rate. You're breathing rapidly. Sometimes it can cause hyperventilation. You might be sweating. Your hands might be shaking, or your whole body in some cases might be shaking. You can be feeling weak or tired. You can have trouble concentrating, trouble sleeping. It can even be as far as having troubles with your stomach, your GI system, your, like stomach problems. You have difficulty controlling your worries and your thoughts. And then one of the main things is you have this big urge to avoid things that trigger anxiety. And by avoiding it, you let the anxiety win, basically. So, you want to learn how to handle those situations that is extremely anxious for you, so that you can, face your fear and face the hard moments and grow through them. And a lot of times that I've experienced in my life is if I know that I have to have a conversation with my boss or someone that causes me anxiety, I tend to overthink it so much in my head, and I tend to worry about it and play the conversation out in my mind and make it way worse than it really is or really would be. And I want to say 99% of the time when I have done the thing that caused me the anxiety, it was nowhere near as bad as I thought it would be. And I've learned for myself to just to not ponder on something, to rip that Band-Aid off and get it done, because the sooner I do it, the sooner the anxiety will go away. So each of us would have to learn what works for us, what is our triggers, what causes it, and what you can do to fix it, or how you can learn to manage it. So, the next thing is like, what causes anxiety? So as with many mental health things, the doctors and smart people out there don't know what caused most of the mental health problems that's going on. They have ideas, they have theories, but scientifically they don't have concrete evidence of what caused a lot of mental health issues. And anxiety is another one that they don't fully understand. They don't understand what causes it or why people have anxiety. But, there's trends. Like if you have a parent that has anxiety, you are most likely going to have anxiety too, or you are prone to have anxiety. And then also certain life experiences that we go through that's traumatic can cause triggers, who then can cause anxiety. I'm thinking of, I was carjacked when I was 21. And every time now when I'm in a situation, even though it's like almost 20 years later, if I'm in a situation where it's late at night and I'm all by myself and it's dark, I tend to be more anxious than normal because of what I went through back then. And then, another thing that can cause anxiety is like past relationship, past experiences. Think about if you, if your mom or your dad came home from work every day and they were super frustrated when they got home, and you needed to talk to them about something that happened at school, and they have a bad reaction to what you were telling them, that's going to cause you to be anxious the next time that you need to talk to somebody about what happened in your day. Another thing that happened to me when I was in college, I was dating this guy for a brief period of time, like 2 or 3 weeks. It's not a long time at all. And then when I wanted to break up with him just because it wasn't working, there was a big age difference between us, and long story short, but he didn't, he must have had some mental health issues, because when I broke up with him, he actually tried to kill himself. So that impact on me lasts for years, in the sense of I was scared to have any confrontational conversation with any boyfriend I had after that, or any person for that matter, because I was scared that if something I say they don't like, they might go and hurt themselves. So that caused extreme anxiety for me, that I had to deal with, and that I had to, with therapy, learn to overcome, and with therapy learn to face that uncomfortable moments, and to just buckle down and fight through it. And now today I'm not having such a hard time having the hard conversations with a partner or with a friend, because I've learned that not everybody is going to have the same reaction as what that guy had all those years ago. Another experience that I had is also a past relationship. The guy that I was with, he had a tendency of verbally abusing me. He would yell at me, scream at me, degrade me, call me all kinds of names. And now today, again, years and years later, I'm still struggling with the anxiety that was caused by that relationship. My husband, he would want to watch football games, and everybody knows that if with football games, it can get real loud, and you yell and scream at the TV and all of that. And I found that is a big trigger for me. That I told my husband, like, I understand that you are very passionate about football, and I love that about him. But unfortunately, if he yells and screams at the TV like that, that causes me to have a severe anxiety. And I'm learning to not let it affect me. And he has also, calmed down and tried to not yell and scream at the TV as much, just because he knows that causes me anxiety, and that's a trigger for me. So he's helping me overcome that fear. And then hopefully one day I will be able to sit with him while he's yelling and screaming at the TV and not be bothered by it and be okay. But it's going to take one moment at a time, one step at a time. And, and something, while I was doing research for this episode, I've learned that, and I didn't know this was interesting, that some anxiety can be caused by, medical conditions. So the medical condition that you have is a cause for the anxiety, that it's an underlying issue that's causing the anxiety. Something like heart disease, diabetes, thyroid problems, respiratory disorder, drug misuse and withdrawals from alcohol, or even chronic pain. All of those can cause anxiety, and severe anxiety, and it's understandably so. So what anxiety feels like for me is, in that moment, my heart starts racing super fast. I'm getting very uncomfortable. My whole body starts shaking, and I kind of feel numb, that I feel like I can't feel my arms or my legs, and I just go numb throughout my whole body. And it's like that fight or flight situation. And for me, the fight or flight turns into a freeze. Like I totally, have like a head in deer lights look, where I'm like, I don't know what to do next. My brain shuts down almost in severe instances of, when my anxiety strikes. So, and I think for people, for everybody, it looks differently. Some people, when they have anxiety, it comes out of as anger, or when they have anxiety, they might be crying a lot. And a lot of times people don't even realize that their symptoms is related to the anxiety that they might be experiencing in that moment. Stuff that I've learned that can cause anxiety, like the things that can cause it, is trauma and stress buildup, and sometimes even I've read that personalities You can have an anxiety personality, and I'm definitely going to read up a lot more on that one. I'm sure that will be a whole nother podcast episode. And guys, I keep reading how drugs and alcohol causes a lot of mental health issues or make mental health problems worse. It messes up with the medication. It messes with your mind. And so drug and alcohol use is a big factor in anxiety. And then another one is if you have a relative with anxiety, you are prone to have anxiety too. There's unfortunately no way to predict who will have anxiety disorder or, but the most important thing to remember is an anxiety disorder can be treated. And it doesn't always have to be with medication. There are a lot of different treatment options that you can do. And the best part is, to get help early, to stay active, do things that you love. And as I said before, avoid alcohol and drugs, because those things just makes it worse. But, stay active. Like I said, do things that you love because it's going to make you feel better about yourself in general. And so some of the main treatment options are psychotherapy, which is also known as talk therapy. And in talk therapy, there's a therapy called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. So that is just basically how I understand it is you will look at the thoughts that you have and you will question the thoughts. Let's say that you need to talk to your boss about taking some time off work, and you're stressed that he or she is going to yell at you and make it a bad situation. Then you need to look at that thought and question that thought. Is like, okay, is my boss a yelling and screaming type of person? Well, no, he's not. So is this thought that I'm having that he's going to yell and scream at me a valid thought? No. But let's question it some more. Is my boss someone who is very big on family and spending time with your family and making sure you at an event that your child is participating in? Yes, he is. So therefore, if I were to ask him like, hey, I need time off so that I can go watch my son's sport game, he will probably say, yes, that's fine, because he's a family person. He has family values. So therefore, again, questioning that thought about my boss going to be upset that I'm going to ask for time off. And, so just question those thoughts and then kind of decipher them. Like, are they real or are they not? Are they valid? And try and find out where the anxiety about the thought comes from. Like, what causes you to feel that way? And, sometimes when you have an anxiety or panic attack or an anxious moment, you can feel like you're spiraling, or that's what I call it, that I spiral and my thoughts just go crazy and it's just nonstop. And, things that I've learned over the years is to breathe. Because one of the things that you stop doing when you start getting anxious is you stop breathing, and then your brain, if you don't have oxygen coming to your brain, well, guess what? It's not good. You're gonna pass out, so you're not gonna feel good. So therefore, I've learned to breathe, and there's this, there's so many different breathing exercises you can do. Some people have a 4-7-4 number where it's like, breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 5 counts, and then breathe out for 4 counts. Those numbers sometimes differ, but the point is the same. I've seen people like make a triangle, and then you trace your finger on the triangle. Like when the one side of the triangle is breathing in, then you hold it, and then you breathe out as you trace the triangle. Another thing that you can do in a moment of severe anxiety is it's called grounding. And what grounding is again, the number changes of how many things, but what I normally do is I take 5 things. I look for 5 things around me and I say, okay, if I were to have an anxiety moment right now, then I can, okay, there's a computer screen, there's a mouse, there's a keyboard. And, as I say these things, I point and I touch to them. And there's some sticky notes on my desk, and there's my coffee cup. And then, I focus on 5 sounds. So I'm going to listen. Okay, I'm hearing a truck outside. I'm currently hearing my own voice. I can hear myself breathing. I can hear the air conditioning running. And then you can name and touch 5 body parts. Like, okay, I can feel my head. I can feel my shoulders. I can feel my knees. I can feel my hands. And I can feel my stomach. So by doing those things, it helps you ground yourself and helps you focus on something else than the thoughts and the craziness that's going on in your head. It doesn't mean it's going to go away. It just helps you remember, like, okay, I am not in a stressful situation. I'm okay. I'm here. I am in a safe place. And, and then you can, once you feel a little bit calmer, then you can start unpacking those thoughts and like, okay, why did I think this? Is this true? Am I, being a fortune teller and saying that things are going to happen that's not really going to happen? Am I over exaggerating? Then you can start, deciphering if these thoughts are real. And, so for me, the one thing that I've learned is definitely to question my thoughts. I know that my husband, he's had to learn, like, sometimes I would be quiet because something would be bothering me. And then, he was like, well, what is wrong? What is wrong? And I was like, I'm sitting there trying to figure out why something that he's done has triggered something in me. And is it something that he's done, or is something that he's doing reminding me or waking something up from my past? And, I always try and figure out where the feelings are coming from. And so a good thing to do if you have anxiety is to keep a journal. And the reason for a journal would be to, so you can kind of sort of track your triggers. So if you realize, like, okay, I was in the grocery store today and there was a lot of people around me and that made me feel extremely anxious, then you can write it down and say, okay, this is what happened. And then you can start keeping track of what triggered you, how it triggered you, and then also what you did. And did it work? Did it not work? Another thing that I've learned that helps a lot is joining a support group, because it will be surprising to know how many people out there are suffering from anxiety, that is struggling with this every day. And just being in a support group and sharing your feelings, sharing your thoughts, and sharing what worked for you is a great way to help each other. And, it's somewhere that I've been going to quite a bit in my past is called Celebrate Recovery. And I mean, you can just Google it. There are so many places that offer Celebrate Recovery, and it is a great program. And you want to, a lot of people think like, oh, but that's for like people with alcoholic problems or people with drug problems. No, not really. Celebrate Recovery is for anybody who has a hurt, a hang up, or a habit. And I mean, I think everybody has something that somewhere in their life they experienced a hurt that they haven't dealt with. Somewhere in their life they have a hang up about something, about someone. And somewhere in your life you have a bad habit that you're trying to break. So, Celebrate Recovery is a great place to start to take control of your life and to take control of the anxiety and the things that cause you the anxiety in your life. And like I've said before, anxiety can be managed. It can be treated even without medication. But yes, in some severe cases, medication is needed. I believe some of my medications that I'm on is helping my anxiety. It's like, it doesn't take it away. It doesn't take the thoughts away. It just calms me down enough that I can sit down and, talk about what's going on and figure out what is causing the anxiety that I'm experiencing. So yeah, like I said, there's resources out there. And if you're struggling with anxiety and you don't know which way to go, which way to turn, reach out to somebody, talk to somebody. I mean, if you need to talk to me, I am right here. Call me, text me, send me a message, just reach out to somebody, because I want you to know that I want to listen to your story. I want to listen to what you are going through with no judgment, because I've been there. I've done things in my past that I'm not proud of. So there's no judgment. So if you need someone to talk to, reach out. And, something that I've forgotten to tell you guys, if you're on Spotify and you're listening to the podcast on Spotify, click on the follow button. So therefore you can, you can get the notification every week when I post a new episode. And you can also get a, you're able there to send voice notes and messages. And there's sometimes I have a question in there. Well, every week I have a question in there. And then also I do have like a poll sometimes that I take. So yeah, just if you follow me on Spotify, that would help. And then also what will help me a lot is just give a review and share the podcast with others that you think might benefit from listening to the podcast. So with that being said, I am going to have this week's question. And the question is, if you could switch your life with anyone for a day, if you could switch lives with anyone for a day, who would it be and why? This is again a fun one. Yes, so with that being said, you guys remember, seize the day, seize the moment. This too shall pass. Sometimes it's rough, sometimes it's hard, but please reach out. Please talk to somebody, talk to me, talk to your friends. We're here, we want to listen. And we want you to know that you are special, you are loved, and we want you in our lives. And so I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and join me again next week. Bye.